What's up everybody, welcome to today's video. I'm your host Phil, and today's video we're going to check out what might be possibly the best cabinet simulation plugin there's out there, the SOUNDLABS MIKKO 2. Let's get right into it. What's up everybody, glad to have you on board for today's video where we're going to check out the MIKKO 2 cabinet simulation plugin from SOUNDLABS. In case you don't know, SOUNDLABS is the brainchild of Mikko Logren, often referred simply as Mikko. Mikko is a well-known and respected figure within the guitar online community out there, and he started his career or his path somewhat 15 years ago within the Axe-Fx and the Fractal forums, where he kind of became well known for shooting some awesome impulse responses. And he basically made a career out of that. Working together with some awesome companies like Neural DSP, he's at some point in time started his own venture with SOUNDLABS, where he is since offering some cabinet simulation solutions or impulse response packs, as well as amp modeling plugins such as the Roots or the Super Duper, which is basically a Dover DA50, and among a lot of different other plugins out there. And recently, they pushed out the second generation of their impulse response or cabinet simulation flagship software, which is the MIKKO, respectively named MIKKO 2. Now, I have to disclaim something. I first was playing around with MIKKO 2 Free, which is the 100% free version, which offers basically a lot of the functionality which the full plugin offers in regard of mic positioning and so on and so forth, but only offers you a 4x12 oversized Mizabugi cabinet. And I was so intrigued and I liked it so much that I actually reached out to SOUNDLABS and asked if we want to start a collaboration in some shape or form. And absolutely thankfully, and I'm absolutely grateful for, they agreed to that and they were super stoked and gave me a free license of MIKKO 2 to play around and to show you guys. So first off, huge thank you to SOUNDLABS, especially Kai from the support team, for granting me this opportunity to show you this plugin over here. And though technically giving me the plugin for free means that this video is a sponsored video, of course, all thoughts and opinions will still remain my own. I am not obliged to say anything positive about the plugin. However, I will also say that there's not very much to complain about. This plugin sounds really good, has some awesome functionality under the hood, which we're going to explore right now. Alright, so that was basically a short impression of what MIKKO 2 is capable of. Let's first talk about the signal chain, then look at the layout, and then we're going to explore some tones over here. So, first off, we got as an amplifier plugin the Neural Amp Modeler NAM with a capture of my own analog signal chain over here, Bruguera 6262, boosted by an MXR M77. That's kind of my favorite amplifier boost combination over here. And then we got it straight into MIKKO, or MIKKO 2, more to say. Now, let me first guide you through the plugin interface over here. I have set it to factory default so that we have basically everything from a fresh start over here. And let's look at it. So on the left side, you obviously can see this is the cabinet setup over here. This is how everything is mic'd up right now at the moment on this particular cabinet. While on the right side, we got the EQ, which is currently on. Let me turn that off for time being. And we got here the microphone setup. On the EQ section, you have different bands which you can set up over here. You got a low pass, you got a high pass. Let me play a little bit around with that. So there's the low pass over here. You got the high pass over here. And then you have these different equalizer settings which you can set up according to your taste. For now, I'm going to turn it off to be as neutral as possible in regards of showing you the tones of the cabinet and microphone combinations over here. And this is where you want to go to the microphone setup over here. Over here we got the speakers. Now if you use the MIKKO 2 free plugin, you will see that a lot of them, actually all of them except for the Mega 4x12 oversize, are grayed out. That is because the MIKKO 2 free version is limited to this speaker combination over here. That's why for now I'm gonna keep it where it is so that you guys who are only using the trial can also kind of reference or refer to the sounds which I'm doing over here. But of course, later in this video, we're going to explore all the possibilities. Down over here, or one note to say still on the cabinets, is that all of these cabinets are basically the favorites of MIKKO's personal cabinet collection. So you're getting basically the real cabinet experience, so to speak. It is as if you were together hanging out with MIKKO and you would be doing kind of a cab recording session. That's kind of a really cool thing over here, and it also shows that you're not getting like, you know, any crappy cabinets over here, because these are MIKKO's favorites which have stayed throughout all of the years at his place for him to capture it to embed in this awesome plugin over here. Next up, we got the microphone setup where we got some classics like a Dynamic 57. I am wondering what kind of microphone this will be. Or for example, the Dynamic 421. We also have some very expensive stuff like the Ribbon 121, which is most obviously going to be a Royer 121. And then, yeah, some other classics over here. Obviously, Sennheiser over here. And so on and so forth. So far, so good. In the mix setup, you can set up the volume in relation to the different microphones which you're setting over here via the plus button. So you can add additional microphones. Let me go back to the factory settings. And so on and so forth. What is really interesting about this plugin is the movement plugin over here, or the movement setting over here. Now, normally, most impulse response loaders will have impulse responses which are kind of capturing different intervals between being straight on the cap up to the cone, but only in one axis. So basically, you only have this axis over here, which is fine and dandy. That works well. That is a good thing to work with. You kind of get a very good impression on what's going on. Eventually, they might add the distance. So that's what you get with most, for example, neural DSP cabinet sections. You got basically this axis and the distance over here. So you can kind of tweak it to your likings, you know, like so or so, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. However, when you have a real 4x12 cabinet, for example, and you place the microphone not straightly on the x-axis, but you place it somewhere else on the speaker, you do get different sounds. And this is something which the angle knob reflects very good, in my opinion. Now, I have set this up respectively. Let's check out what happens just from a movement perspective when I play around with this over here. You can see by moving the angle, you get a circular movement. And, hang on, let me turn off the EQ over here. And as you can see, the EQ is basically shifting like the real deal. So that is what actually happens when you are miking up a cabinet, which I find super, super cool over here. Next up, of course, we got the tilt, where we can tilt it up to 90 degrees, which I find pretty cool because most plugins only allow you to set off an off-axis thing round about 45 degrees. So this is very extreme. I don't know where I would use this, but you do have the possibility, and that is pretty cool. So Next up, when you have multiple microphones, let's go ahead and let's go ahead first and play a little bit around with the settings. So, reset to factory default settings. Let's play a little bit. Oh, turn off the EQ. All right, next up, let's add one microphone over here. Let's set it up exactly like the first one, and then we're gonna make kind of a fretman or a fretman technique out of it. So we gotta first memorize where these settings are on the first microphone. So cap, edge, distance, and angle. We got to replicate this first off with the same microphone, but over here we go, there we go. Let me check. It's very close already, so there we go. Still not exactly the same thing. Okay, now we got it. So now distance, cap, edge, and angle between the two microphones are the same. And now we simply go ahead and we set the tilt to 45 degrees over here. Now what you also have is the phase knob. So you have the possibility to place them super realistically, also emulate the phase cancellations which are happening especially in the high end, and basically the rumble which sometimes adds up when you have like these strange phase shiftings over here, and that is really useful. That's super realistic, and that is something which I really appreciate. All the hard work which went into this plugin to replicate this feel, it's simply amazing, and it does actually offers an experience which I have never seen before in any kind of other plugin over there. Not even Celestion Speaker Mix Pro, as much as I like the software out there and the tones which I got with that one. It had some different perks which were also very cool, but it did not have this super granular settings and this feel of miking up the cabinet for real. So that is really cool indeed. Alright, so I have now prepared something over here. Let me take that down here. I got two guitar tracks, which have no cabinet simulation whatsoever, and I got the bass and drums bounced off the full mix track, which you heard on the beginning of this video. Here we go. Alright, so that's basically my Mikko setup, which is simply smacked on the guitar bus. So it works for both guitars, which are hard panned left and right. Okay, now let me take the monitor effects over here, because here I don't need any of that. So it does not tinker around with mono stereo settings. Okay, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to play this loop over here, and I'm just going to play around with the microphone so we can actually hear what the different settings would affect in a real mix situation. Alright, I want to note I'm not any professional mixer or something, so it might sound not so good. Sorry for that. Okay, here we go. All right, so that was just playing around totally blindly, not listening to the output and not seeking for a real, like a real tone, which I would dial in. I like to keep things normally quite simple. I use either an SM57 or like a fretman technique, and maybe I blend a little bit of a ribbon microphone. So let's try to dial in a sound which actually is to our likings using basically different cabinets over here. And let's kind of explore the different tonal options which we have within this plugin. Now, I'm just exaggerating over here just to showcase the capabilities of the equalizer over here. So that would be basically a very extreme setting, which could get you maybe into somewhat and justice for all territory, but, you know, like in a very cheap and dirty way. And the cool thing is, if I still don't have enough microphones, I can add up to 9 microphones over here, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to leave the tone as it is right now, just as a reference. So this is not, let's say, this is not characterizing my absolute favorite settings on this plugin over here. There's a lot to discover over here and a lot to unpack actually with this plugin. But this is kind of me dialing quite quickly a tone on the fly, just improvising a little bit. Since we now have so many cabinets over here, we got 38 different cabinets over here, it's very hard for me to kind of show you all of the cabinet and microphone positions, like in a full mix setting and, you know, playing through them. So what I have thought is that I'm going to now go ahead and I'm going to try to make a loop of this main riff over here from the song. And what I'm going to first then do is I'm going to show you all the different microphones in the same position. I'm leaving everything as is, and I'm only changing the microphones on every single loop. And after that, we're going to go to the SM57, and then I'm going to basically run through every single cabinet over here. This is going to be a painful process over here for both me and you guys to listen to, so I'm sorry for that, but I still think it's important to kind of get an idea of what this plugin is actually capable of. So let me prepare all the things over here, and then we're going to get right into it. Alright, so I prepared everything, I set it to factory default settings. We got the SM57 on the Mega 4x12 oversize, which is also the cabinet which is included in the Mikko 2 free plugin. Get it, it's awesome. I have turned off the equalizer. In default setting it is on, but I still want to kind of get that high end over here to give you a full scale comparison of the different microphones. So we're going to hear the same riff over and over again, and I'm going to change on each iteration the microphone over here. Let's get rocking. All right, so now that we have checked out all of the different microphone settings on the Mikko 2 free cabinet, we're going to move over to check out all of the different cabinets. As said before, due to, let's say, the lack of time which we have and also the capabilities, I'm just going to walk through, again, the same riff over and over again, leaving everything on the dynamic SM57 microphone over here in the default settings with the equalizer turned off, and then just after each iteration, I'm just gonna kind of browse through. So, let's get rocking. Okay. All right, so now that we have taken a deep dive down the MIKKO 2 cabinet simulation plugin from ML SOUNDLABS, what is my personal conclusion out of this? I personally really dig this plugin. I think they have something very special at their hands. They're kind of giving this real feel of miking up a cabinet, and I personally feel, even though I'm totally shitty at dialing in cabinets, I personally feel that I'm kind of capable of getting some real cool tones out of here with all of these different flexible options. Of course, there is possibility for option paralysis. I've done the math. If I take into account that we have 38 cabinets, that we have 8 microphones, and if I would account kind of, let's say, 3 different positions from cap to edge, in regard of the distance, in regard of the tilt, and also the 4 different angle positions, then if you calculate all of that together, you get 32,000 different sounds which you can get out of this plugin, and that's not even accounting for that you also have, let's say, the in-between positions. So there are absolute endless possibilities over here with this particular plugin, which I find really cool. It's amazing. It's really cool that you can get this out there. The only thing which I think is a little bit problematic for most users is the pricing policy. Right now, MIKKO 2 is set to 200 euros as an limited offer, and it will soon then be turned to 250 euros. And while the price in itself is totally reasonable for all the hard work which has been placed into this plugin, I think that sooner or later there should be some modular setup where you can purchase the MIKKO 2 basically totally independently of the different cabinet packs, and then buy or purchase cabinet packs which you can then load into MIKKO 2. I personally think this is amazing. This will be my go-to cabinet solution in the future, I'm pretty sure, because it's so cool and so flexible. There is a standalone application, which I absolutely dig. This means that if I do some reamping over here, or not reamping, but basically play through my real amplifier, I can just smack that into the audio interface, choose that respective input, and then I'm also good to go. What else for me to say then? A huge thank you and shoot out to ML SOUNDLABS for providing this again once for free. This is a sponsored video, although I genuinely think this is a really cool product, and it's also well priced looking over the alternatives within the market. And if you want to kind of convince yourself, there's an absolute free trial, the MIKKO 2 free, which you can download. I'll post the links in the description below. And yeah, thank you for watching so far. I'm going to see you hopefully in the next video. And until then, keep it metal.